Hello everyone, Literacy Team here with an update on the latest on the school-wide rubrics, with a particular focus on the perfecting of the writing rubric. As you may recall, some weeks back, we asked you for some feedback on this monstrosity, and we tabulated this feedback by both warm and cool, and by department as well, and then pored over the feedback looking for themes. Thank you so much for taking your time to actually provide feedback on this document. We started finding reoccurring suggestions from many departments that really helped us perfect the rubric. And the top 4 trending recommendations are as follows. First of all, that the writing rubric needs to be less verbose and more user-friendly. That it should distinguish between performance levels with more negative language, particularly for the minimally performing students. It should address standard language conventions and usage, and it should incorporate WIDA standards that are not already addressed by the Common Core. So here is part of our new sleek and sexy rubric that we redesigned with these suggestions in mind. First, to eliminate text, we limited this rubric to 2 columns, one for the 9-10 grade span, and the other for the 11 through 12 grade span, just as the Common Core breaks down its standards. A student's level of mastery can be indicated simply by putting the appropriate check mark in the corresponding box in the right-hand corner, and generalized descriptions of these levels can be found along the top. To make the text further accessible to both faculty and students, hyperlinks were embedded in the actual document shown in blue, and when clicked on, that will bring you to a glossary that was made by the literacy team to explain those terms, particularly for students. The second most common recommendation was to provide clearer distinctions between the range of student performances, perhaps using negative language to describe the work of minimally performing students. So after going through and highlighting which standards from the rubric apply to your specific assignment, you can then rank students' accomplishment for achieving each of those standards using these levels, of which there are 5 rather than 4. So for those not reaching grade level, there's this phrase, the student demonstrates little success in meeting the standards for the grade level. Meanwhile, for those students that are exceptional and performing above grade level, there's the distinguished category. The language in these boxes is general and applies to any bullet point on the rubric, just whether the student shows limited success in meeting the standards, adequate success, consistent success, or consistent and independently exceeding the standards. A third concern from the faculty was the lack of addressing language conventions in the rubric, and so we actually added a section onto the rubric called Conventions that addresses things like grammar and usage and capitalization, punctuation, and spelling, etc. Lastly, it was recommended by several departments that we incorporate the WIDA standards for English language development into the writing rubric. So we examined the intersection between WIDA and the Common Core. Happily, we found a lot of overlap between these 2 documents. However, WIDA did define writing more broadly by including many informal writing routines along with the list of more formal writing routines, which led us to question our assumptions about what constitutes writing. This process led us first and foremost to add a bullet under text types and purposes to include outlines, notes, graphic organizers, diagrams, labels, and lists as examples of writing, not just your formal essay. And to further enumerate what writing is and can be at RHS, we started developing a list called the Writing Is Project. This and countless other initiatives to help improve literacy at RHS are posted on the Content Literacy's website. The URL is very simple. It's just www.rhscontentliteracies.org. It has all sorts of useful resources, and particularly if you were to click on school-wide rubrics right here, and scroll down to implementation strategies, you'll find many just that, implementation strategies. And if you scroll down a bit, you'll get to Writing Is highlighted right here, and if you click on that, you'll get the whole list. That is a list of different kinds of writing, both formal and informal, that you could consider assessing using this rubric. The goal here is to make this rubric applicable to a lot more than a formal essay. So what's next? The upcoming list does not come with due dates attached, however, this is the list of goals that we'll be striving for over the next year or so. First, we hope to use the Writing Is list to broaden our notions of informal and formal writing. Next, to practice using this new writing rubric in whole or in part on some of our own assignments. And to identify or perfect potential performance assessments, to use Mitchell's term, for which the rubrics could be used. By performance assessments, we mean something that's given once per quarter that is grade-wide, that requires students to write, read, speak and listen, problem solve, and or demonstrate civic and social responsibility in your department and content area. So these projects could be assessed using multiple school-wide rubrics once more of the rubrics are ready. And speaking of other rubrics, you'll be hearing back from us soon about the creative problem-solving rubric, which is the next rubric we would like to tackle. Meanwhile, the literacy team will be applying the relevant feedback to all of the other school-wide rubrics, so the others are in the middle of getting hyperlinks and having the numbers of columns reduced, etc. We'll be leading new tuning protocols with the other school-wide rubrics, starting with the creative problem-solving. We will try to develop some implementation strategies for these rubrics, starting first and foremost with exemplars of performance assessments, with modified rubrics accompanying them. We see this as our chance to truly prepare students for the 21st century by allowing us to assess their reading and writing, speaking and listening, problem-solving, civic and social responsibility skills in a way that standardized tests assess imperfectly or not at all. Furthermore, we can do so in a coordinated and collaborative way that truly prepares our students at Revere High School for college, career, and civic success in the next century.